Hello, everyone. This is Eleanor Rigby. I was sitting in my kitchen this morning, running my fingers over the edge of a chipped ceramic bowl. It's a soft robin's egg blue. My mother gave it to me when I moved into my first apartment in 1964. Looking at that bowl and the way the morning light hit the counter, I realized that I've outlived almost everything I started with. I'm 80 years old now. It's a strange number to say out loud, isn't it? 80. When I was a girl, 80 seemed like a different planet, a place where people were fragile and quiet. But here I am, and I'm still here because I learned through many tears and a lot of hard years that life isn't just about what you do. It's about what you put into this temple God gave you. If I hadn't changed my ways 40 years ago, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today. I would have been gone a long time ago, and I would have missed the best parts of my life. Before I tell you this story, please subscribe. I want to pass this wisdom down before I'm gone, so you don't make the same mistakes I did. I want you to be around to see your grandchildren grow up just like I have. Back in the late 70s, I was a different woman. I was a mother of three, working a full-time job at the library, and I was always tired. My husband, Arthur, bless his soul, he's been gone 5 years now. He used to watch me come home and just collapse into a chair. I was living on coffee, canned soup, and nerves. In those days, we didn't think much about wellness. We just thought about getting through the week. I remember one Tuesday in 1978, I couldn't even get out of bed. My heart was fluttering like a trapped bird, and my joints felt like they were filled with crushed glass. Arthur sat on the edge of the bed, took my hand, and he said, "Eleanor, if you don't start taking care of yourself, I'm going to have to learn how to live without you. And I don't know how to do that." It wasn't easy. In fact, it was the hardest year of my life. I had to relearn how to eat, how to breathe, and how to value my own health as much as I valued everyone else's. I started looking at food not as a chore, but as medicine. Experiences taught me that the kitchen is the most important room in the house, not for the gossip, but for the longevity. I started with 12 things, just 12, and I've stuck to them for nearly half a century. The first thing I turned to was oatmeal. Now, don't roll your eyes. Young people today might not understand this, but a warm bowl of steel-cut oats in a quiet kitchen at 6 a.m. is a form of meditation. In the early 80s, when the doctors told me my cholesterol was climbing too high, I replaced my buttered white toast with oats. I can still hear Arthur complaining that it tasted like wet cardboard, but I told him, "Artie, this cardboard is going to keep me around to annoy you for another 40 years. And it did. It kept my heart steady when the world felt shaky. Then there were the walnuts. I keep a jar of them on the counter. My grandmother used to say they looked like little brains for a reason. In my 60s, when I started forgetting where I put my reading glasses or why I walked into the pantry, I started eating a handful every single morning. I promise you it cleared the fog. It kept my mind sharp enough to keep up with my youngest grandson, who thinks he can out-argue me. He can. I have to tell you about the greens, too, specifically spinach. I grew up in an era where spinach came out of a can and tasted like pennies. But once I started buying it fresh, sautéing it with a little garlic, everything changed. In all my 80 years, I have found that nothing gives you more get up and go than those dark leaves. When we were struggling financially in the mid-80s, Arthur had been laid off and we were counting every cent. We grew our own. I'd be out in the garden at dusk, pulling those leaves, feeling the dirt under my fingernails. It kept us lean and it kept us strong, when we should have been breaking under the stress. Blueberries were my luxury. Even when we didn't have a penny to our names, I'd find a way to get a pint of berries. I called them my longevity pearls. I remember a summer in 1992, sitting on the back porch with Arthur. We were eating berries straight from the bowl, blue stains on our fingers, watching the fireflies. I felt so vibrant, so alive. I realized then that aging doesn't have to be a slow fading away. It can be a ripening. Let me tell you the truth about olive oil. My neighbor, an Italian woman named Maria who lived to be 96, handed me a bottle in 1985 and told me to throw away the lard. I never looked back. I use it for everything. It keeps my skin from feeling like parchment paper and my heart from getting brittle. I think about Maria every time I pour it. She used to say, "Eleanor, oil the hinges of your soul, or you'll start to creak." Beans were our savior. Kidney beans, black beans, lentils. During the crisis of the early 90s, when the economy took a dip and our savings felt thin, we lived on bean stews. I learned then that you don't need a steak to be a person of substance. Those beans gave me the fiber to stay regular and lie, the protein to keep my muscles from wasting away. I'm 80 and I still walk 2 miles every morning. I owe a lot of that to the humble bean. Then there's wild salmon. Now, I know it's expensive these days, but back when we could get it fresh, it was a staple. The omega-3s, the doctors say, I just know that when I eat it, my knees don't ache as much when I climb the stairs. I remember the last big dinner Arthur and I had before he got sick. I made salmon with lemon and dill. He looked at me across the table and said, "Eleanor, you look just as beautiful as the day I met you in 1962. I knew he was lying, but I felt it. I felt beautiful because I felt healthy. I can't forget the garlic. My goodness, the garlic. People might shy away from the smell, but I've always said that if someone doesn't like the smell of garlic, they aren't your real friend anyway. It has kept my immune system like a fortress. When everyone else in the nursing home, where I visit my friends now, is coming down with the flu, I'm usually just fine. I've been eating a clove a day since the Nixon administration. Sweet potatoes, too, the bright orange ones. They are the comfort food of the earth. When I lost Arthur, and the grief felt like a heavy coat I couldn't take off, I didn't want to eat anything. But I would bake a sweet potato, and the warmth of it, the sweetness of it, felt like a hug from the inside. It's full of beta-carotene, which keeps my eyes sharp enough to see the birds at the feeder. I have to mention Greek yogurt. I started that later in life. In my 60s, it keeps my bones from turning into glass. I've had friends fall and never get back up because their bones were too weak. I promised myself I'd stay sturdy. I want to be the one helping others up, not the one waiting for help. And green tea. I traded my 4th cup of coffee for green tea years ago. It's a quiet drink. It doesn't jolt you. It just sits with you. It's full of those antioxidants that fight off the bad things trying to grow inside us. I drink a cup every afternoon at 3 p.m., looking out at my garden, and I feel a peace that I never had in my 30s. Lastly, dark chocolate. Yes, an old lady needs her treats, but only the dark kind. A small square at night, it's for the heart, but mostly it's for the joy. If you don't have joy, what's the point of living to 100? You have to understand something. This isn't just about a grocery list. The moment things get difficult, and I see the same pattern in how they eat, they want the quick fix, the fast food, the instant gratification. But a good life and a good marriage is like a slow cooked meal. It takes time. It takes the right ingredients. It takes patience. Arthur and I were married for 54 years. Do you think every one of those years was easy? Heavens, no. There were years we barely spoke. There were years we struggled to find the love under all the resentment. But we stayed. We sacrificed for one another. We communicated, eventually, even when the words were hard to find. Love isn't a feeling you have, it's a decision you make every morning, just like choosing to eat what's good for you instead of what's easy. You make the choice to stay. You make the choice to nourish. If I could go back and talk to my 30-year-old self, that tired librarian who thought she was too busy to eat a vegetable, I'd take her by the shoulders and say, Eleanor, slow down. You are worth the effort. The people you love need you to be whole. I've lived through 12 presidents, 3 major wars, and more technological changes than I can count. I've seen the world change from black and white to a billion colors. But the human body hasn't changed. It still needs the same things it needed 1,000 years ago: good food, clean water, and a purpose. My purpose now is to tell you that you can change. It is never too late. I started my real health journey at 40. I'm 80 now, and I'm still here. I'm still walking, I'm still thinking, and I'm still loving. Think about that. You have so much time left. If you treat yourself with respect, don't wait for a heart scare or a bad report from the doctor to start valuing your life. Do it now while you can still taste the blueberries and smell the garlic. The secret to a long life isn't hidden in a laboratory. It's in your pantry. It's in the patience you show your spouse when they've had a bad day. It's in the loyalty you show your friends. It's in the quiet moments of reflection when you realize that every day is a gift that you have to earn. I hope you take this to heart. I want you to feel the strength in your limbs and the clarity in your mind when you're my age. I want you to be able to look back on a life well lived and a body well tended. There is a great dignity in growing old when you've done it with intention. Thanks for listening to An Old Soul. Subscribe, share this with someone you love, and cherish them while they are here. Life is shorter than you think, but it's also much wider and deeper than you can imagine. Go have a piece of fruit, take a long walk, and tell someone you love them. That's the best medicine there is. Would you like me to expand on any of these specific foods, or perhaps share more about the lessons Eleanor learned during her 54-year marriage?